All right, I think I broke all the things. All right, I'm gonna try it again. Here we go. What you want? What you want?
Come on. Come on.
Merry neat weirdos, and as per usual, because I always have audio problems, let me know if you can hear me okay. I'm Gory B Movie, you're in the Gory Hole, and we're celebrating Halloween early today with my very special guest. Any one of you, go, surprise me.
Okay, I'll start off because, you know, I'm going to start off. I'm Knight from the Night Watch Zone. What's going on?
And I am Cornelius from the Killjoy Jake YouTube channel. That is I. Welcome.
Can we call you Cornholio?
Nice.
Yes. I need TP for my bunghole.
Are you threatening me?
And I'm Maverick from Maverick Media. And instead of having friends, I have horror movies. Oh wait, no, that's not mine.
Dude.
That's Jake's.
That's
Jake.
Did you make that up?
You know what? It just came to me right off the top of my head.
Nice. That's awesome.
I think I butchered it, right? It's I don't have friends, right? Or is it instead?
I don't have friends, and I lost all of my horror movies. That's the tragic opening.
Wow.
Ooh.
All right.
The whole shelf is just empty. Next time, next video, that'd be funny. Gory, I think you muted yourself.
Can you guys hear me?
Now you're good.
I can hear you
we
now.
hear you.
Okay, I accidentally unplugged it and then it muted it. It was a whole thing. Anyway, we have one other guest.
Ooh.
The other one that didn't talk yet, guys. Come on.
Who? What?
Night.
I started off.
Oh yeah,
No
he
way.
opened.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
What's
Hold
happened?
on.
We've been here
Hold
so
on.
long. Life has happened, is what's
I
happened.
know.
Anyway, I'm
Hey,
sorry
look,
I
mean,
missed out on that.
all right. Well, you know what? I'll do it again.
Let's go back around. Yeah.
Hello. I'm Knight, and I'm from the Night Watch Zone.
Very
you go.
good. Very good.
Okay.
Beautiful. Mwah. All right. Everybody in the chat, nice to see you. High Ground Cantina, what's up? Jim, the Joseph Hopper video vlog guy. I am so impressed that I can say that every time, and I haven't messed it up yet. Popping the Popcorn, my good buddy who I was over on her channel for a stream earlier this week. My brother, my little womb-mate, Zigma, he's here. Love that guy. Ariel, the horror man. We got some great people here. All right, so today we're celebrating Halloween, guys. I'm so excited.
Yes.
Mhm.
So, yeah, on this channel, we do things a little bit differently because I'm not a movie critic. I don't criticize things because how the hell would I know how a good movie is made? I am here to celebrate films with you. That means, yeah, sometimes we throw out some criticisms, but mostly we're just going to gush about how much we like things. And hopefully, if you don't like these things, make you give it a second chance.
Right.
So I know all three of these guys are big fans of tonight's movie, which is Halloween 2018, David Gordon Green's.
Yeah, baby.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're channeling a little Mike Myers there, the other Mike Myers.
Oh yeah, baby.
Oh,
He's
no,
a man,
I keep
baby.
Dr. Pepper in a bottle. All right.
That Dr. Pepper's been giving you fits the last few days.
I know,
Right?
I know, I know. I love it so much, but it's bad for me because it attacks me.
Wow. All right.
So I'm really excited because I haven't rewatched this since Kills. So I rewatched it right before Kills, when that came out, but I never watched it after the fact. And I was rewatching it last night. And I'm like, oh my gosh, considering how this got pushed back, they thought well ahead. There's a lot of things in here that reoccur in Kills that I thought was really cool when I came back to this one. One of them is the inmate who's killed by the mob. You can see him when they show Michael the Mask.
Yeah.
The cemetery caretaker is Sandra, who's playing with her drone.
Yep.
And the doctor and the nurse are Vanessa and Marcus, who I guess they're on their way to go hang out with the gang at the bar.
That's right.
Yep.
Absolutely.
There's so many nice things that they set up in this movie that you had like just totally insignificant in this film that come back to be big players in the next one. I think that's really cool. It's always been something I've been fascinated with.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
like that attention to detail.
Yeah, it really gives you a sense of this bigger picture, and I really dig it. I mean, and obviously, and you guys know it. I'm a huge Halloween fan, so I'm not just saying it as a fanboy, but seriously, I think they really put a little bit of extra thought and care into these movies. And if nothing else, I mean, there's missed opportunities, but if nothing else, I got to give them a lot of credit, man, because throughout the franchise, we've seen some highs and we've seen some lows.
Peaks and valleys, that's for sure.
That's right. So it's cool.
Some days might have been better than others. I like to say that with some of these franchises, like the creators have this child and they raise it with love and care. And some of them, like unfortunately Halloween, after about the third movie, John Carpenter was ready to drop this one off at the firehouse. So, you know, it's bounced around from some different foster homes. But I think it got a loving one this time around.
Yeah.
I think they were like, you know, we're gonna do right by this kid. We're gonna do right.
It also makes me wonder what from these first two that we got is going to be set up. You know, like what's going to be the what they established in 18 and Kills. Are we going to be seeing the payoff for now and end? So it makes me excited. You know what I mean? Like especially with the rumors of Dr. Mathis, and they alluded to him in Kills, and what's he going to be? Is he going to be Dr. Death that they cut out of Halloween 5? Who knows? You know what I mean? You never know. You know, you don't know which route they're going to go, but I feel like they've been paying so much homage to the sequels that they've canceled, you know, or erased. I guess that's a better way of putting it.
Right.
I like
people
that
get confused
you mentioned
when you say
that,
canceled.
because there was something I heard last night when rewatching it, and I'm like, oh, that's going to pay off, isn't it? Because at the very beginning there, I can't remember the name of the other cop working with Hopper, but he tells him, he's like, we can't just cancel Halloween, can we? And I have a pretty good feeling that this one starts up after years of Halloween being canceled. I know they said they were going to address the pandemic in some way, and I think that's how they're going to do it, is basically, we're not doing Halloween. Yes, pandemic, but also I think this town wanted a break from Halloween, wanted a break from Michael Myers. So I think that's one thing that is going to pay off.
Yeah. I agree.
That's kind of fitting, though. You know, he doesn't have to make it all about the pandemic, because I feel like we're kind of like, I'm seeing movies that are still commenting on it that aren't like getting the best reviews. You know, it's just kind of like it's last year's big thing. You know what I mean? So not to make that
it's something we want to forget.
That's
exactly. Right. I totally agree. And I think that's a good way of addressing it without it being like this gigantic like plot point. You know what I mean? I agree with you on that. That could be cool.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and I think if they do it like that, where they cancel Halloween and, you know, some things are kind of set in the background, then it's done. It's not hitting you over the head, and definitely avoid some of the I'll just say missteps that Kills had. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and I think that's a smart way to do it. Like, we get it. We understand what you're doing there. You know, so it's great.
What, you mean the evil dies tonight? Wait, hold on. Wait, when does evil die again? Because I didn't write it down.
Tonight.
Oh man, that was so rough.
For me, you know,
it's still enjoyable. I mean, I don't think any
Yeah.
of these movies are unwatchable. So even when
True.
we
Absolutely.
lovingly poke fun at them,
Mhm.
I think we all agree that this is, these are really rewatchable movies. I
Yeah.
think David Gordon Green, he was a surprising choice for this one. And even he was like a little surprised that, Jason Blum wanted to get him involved with a horror movie, but he said Halloween being his favorite horror movie was one that he actually got really excited about.
Right.
Mhm.
And I do think there's something to be said for comedians in the director's chair for horror movies. Like Jordan Peele's another one. I think a lot of it has to do with, I think the timing of a scare is similar to the timing of a joke. And I think comedians naturally kind of get that rhythm.
Yeah,
But
that's
what
a
do you guys
great
thought
point.
on David Gordon Green?
Definitely a weird choice. Like definitely one where I was kind of shocked because like he's done like stoner movies in the past, like Danny
Exactly,
McBride and all
right.
that. And when I heard that at first, I was like, okay, and then I saw Halloween 2018 and was blown away. I love this movie so much. Like I genuinely
Yes.
think he was a great choice. The addition of humor, like his stoner comedy humor, is implemented in so many different scenes in this movie, especially that makes it something so special and different from anything else we've gotten in the past. I hear the criticism a lot that this movie's too similar to the original. It's kind of just a modern telling, and I'm like, no, it's not. Like tonally, it's so
Agreed.
different. There's so
Yeah.
many new additions that David Gordon Green brings to the table that makes
Yeah.
this one really stand out, in my opinion.
Yeah, I
That's
totally
actually
agree.
what attracted Carpenter to it. Is he's like, okay, you guys are doing something completely different here. It's not
Mhm.
a reboot or not a remake, but basically this is the movie that popularized the requel. Yes, Scream 4 did it first, but that movie wasn't as successful as this one. Not only is this
Mhm.
movie successful, but it is the most successful box office for any Halloween movie. So this movie made a lot of money. And it's what made the requel so popular. It's why Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the new one, almost directly rips scenes from this.
Mhm.
Even
Mhm.
Scream 2022 makes a reference to this movie. So
Yeah.
I think this is the one that kind of cemented what a requel was.
I agree. And it really did do something different than 78. It's such a hard thing to do is you're creating this new timeline and you have to follow the story beats of 78. But I think they did a hell of a job and I agree with Jake. It felt different when I saw it in the theater. I remember looking over at my brother and I'm like, wow, this feels like Halloween, but it feels fresh. And credit to them. And when I heard about David Gordon Green, I was like, okay, well, that's interesting. And Danny McBride.
right. Weird
That's like,
choices,
Yes.
man.
what? My man,
Mhm.
I love Danny McBride though. But I think, like you said, Gory, they understand timing and they understand the nuances that you get as being, rooted in comedy and comedic timing. So I think they've done a hell of a job because seriously, watching Halloween 2018, and I'm not just saying this as a fanboy, there were moments, especially that moment at the dinner scene, where I literally did get emotional, and it's because of how it was written, but also the performances, and it was just really like wow. And I love 78, you guys know that,
Mhm.
but with 2018. I was getting something different that I hadn't even gotten from 78. So for me, that was a huge victory, you know?
Right. I can't tell you when the last time I got goosebumps watching a Halloween movie was. And this one, especially like there was that scene where the journalists were in the hotel room and they were playing back the Loomis tapes when he was
Mhm.
talking about he must die and I want to put my ear
Yeah.
on his chest and make sure that there's no
Yes.
beating heart and then he must be
Yeah.
immediately incinerated. And I know it
Mhm.
wasn't Loomis's voice specifically, it was, somebody else, but I got
Mhm.
goosebumps hearing that, and then they
Yeah.
kind of warp the audio where it's like
It
it
has to
needs
die.
to
Needs to
die,
die.
and it
That's
was like
so
Bane
good.
It's like,
was dropping it, but it was like
yeah.
it had been it had
The
been
fire
so
rises.
right, exactly. It had been so long, and I mean, since I had gotten goosebumps in a
Mhm.
Halloween movie, and they really, I mean, they played with my emotions in a good way. You know what I mean? Like, and I love this movie so much. It's yeah. They hit the nail on the head with this one. I was so impressed,
I think this
but
movie has
also
a
surprised because of the choice in director. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think this movie has a strong emotional core. And I do think a lot of that has to do with one bringing back some key people from the original, like Jamie Lee Curtis, who she said that David Gordon Green reminded her a lot of Carpenter and how he fostered creativity. on set. Like he'd be like, okay, well, do it your way. How does it feel right to you? And she said that's an experience that was unique to working with Carpenter, which I think is really cool. Also, obviously, Carpenter came back to do the score with his son Cody and his godson. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a bit. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. And also having Malik Akkad producing it, he's actually the son of Mustafa Akkad, who produced the original. Unfortunately, Mustafa and his daughter were killed in a terrorist bombing in Jordan, which is really sad. But Malik took the helm. It's original people here. It wasn't just somebody new. And I read that Jamie Lee Curtis hadn't seen Malik since he was like 7 years old, running around the set of the first one. And as soon as she saw him, I guess she just burst into tears and held him. But yeah, It's like there's a real core to this movie, a family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's really special. That's nice when a franchise has something like that. It shows the growth, and like having the same people attached to most of these projects is something really wonderful. You don't get that in every franchise, and that's something that I've always valued about this franchise in particular. It's just wonderful. It is a family, and that's so cool. A family that makes horror movies together stays together.
Right?
Exactly.
I agree. I mean, and I think that it was just so cool because I had seen, pictures of Jamie Lee and John, an embrace or hug. And I just thought to myself, my God, these people, they've known each other for 43 years, or at that time, 40 years, whatever it was. You get what I'm saying? But it's like, that's a long ass time. You know what I'm saying? And Jamie Lee Curtis has always been very open about saying, John Carpenter gave me a career.
Yeah.
And I've always respected that. I know there's times that, some folks got a little frustrated with her and so forth, but you got to give her credit. She doesn't shy away from her horror roots. And I'm not throwing shade at actors or actresses that do, but we know a lot that do. They're just like, yeah, I did that when I didn't know anything. But I gotta give credit to Jamie Lee Curtis. The Jamie Lee Curtises and the Johnny Depps of the world that are now huge stars. They remember John Carpenter, Wes Craven gave you a chance when you may not have gotten a chance from anyone else. And that's, to me, it's just cool to see her come back. Obviously H2O, but now, with 2018, it was just great.
Absolutely. Talking about this movie, I want to comment on what Jake said about how a lot of people say this movie is just kind of a rehash, which, as High Ground Cantina mentioned, that was a big complaint people had of Force Awakens too. And I feel like Force Awakens, I actually really like Force Awakens. I know a lot of people love Force Awakens, but I could see the complaint. I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right. I don't care. I still like it. And I'm not a Star Wars channel, so I'm just going to go ahead and let that be my opinion. But with this one, I completely disagree. I do think that there is a difference between tribute and homage and fan service. Not that there's anything wrong with fan service. Like I said, fan service is fun, and I don't have any problems with it. But I feel like a lot of this is tribute and homage. A lot of it is so sneaky. It's not beating you over the head with it. Like having PJ Souls as the teacher. That was Linda in the original. Like
right.
It's sneaky. You got to catch it. Some of them are more obvious. Laurie in the classroom. But like the gas station, they completely recreated from part 4, and they're like, why do you guys have so much time on your hands? But also I love it.
A little bit of H2O also, with the exception of he actually attacked the female in the stall as opposed to taking the purse and then taking the truck
and running, and then taking the money and run.
One I liked is the song that the dancer kid, which is a David Gordon Green reference because he worked for forever on trying to make the Suspiria remake and ended up leaving the project. Also has some dance roots in him. But the dancer kid and his dad, the song they're listening to is actually the song that Laurie sings in the 78 version.
Yes.
Oh, no way. Okay, that's cool.
Yep.
They play it at the end in the credits as well. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of nice throwbacks, and I think.
What are your guys' favorites?
Oh man.
The cops that are talking to each other, and he's like, "That's you packed a brownie. That's like what a 5-year-old would eat." Like that scene is so funny to me. I laugh every single time. I don't know.
That is a good one.
I wish I could remember where I heard it, but someone was saying that had a lot of Tarantino vibes. You know how it just kind of like a total. And I was like, oh my god, that's the most brilliant, obvious thing that I completely overlooked. You know, that like it's
Yeah.
just a irrelevant conversation while in the midst of all this chaos, you know, but you
Right.
get kind of sucked into the banh mi sandwich. Yeah.
I really want to try a
Right,
banh mi
yeah.
sandwich now. I don't know
Yeah.
what the hell it is, but it sounds amazing.
Right.
Yeah,
You know, and it's
Um,
funny too,
but
because
I
I've
think,
heard of them after that.
Yeah,
I think it
they're
again
good.
is a
They're
tribute
really
to
good
the comedic
sandwiches.
directors and writers here. I think for me, the fastest way to get me to bond to a character is to make me laugh. And so many of these
Mhm.
characters have just little bits of time on screen. And by making us laugh, I feel like we instantly bond with them and care about them. My favorite line in the whole movie is Ray's line where he says, I got peanut butter on my peanut.
Yes, that's also
Yep.
really good. And then
That
his
was a
death is
good
so
one.
sad. It's like so
Right?
upsetting, you know?
I know.
This was the
I
guy whose
know.
penis was covered in peanut butter a couple minutes ago.
Yeah.
Come on,
Poor
I like
guy.
On my
him.
peanut.
And
So-
the way he said it is like, oh damn. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. I might have reacted a little bit more
man.
than that. Oh man.
Do any of you guys remember the show Pete and Pete?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that was the Arnie, the strongest man. Do you guys remember Arnie, the strongest man? That's
I do.
Ray.
Okay.
Toby
all right.
Huss, yeah, from
Wow.
Pete and Pete.
All right. All right.
That's
I
so
knew he looked
cool.
familiar.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
I
Arnie,
did him in a
man.
couple other horror movies, but I didn't recognize him from anything when he was younger. That's a good catch.
Oh, I
Mm.
loved Pete and Pete growing up. So
That's a
yeah,
good show.
crazy,
is.
crazy. He's come a long way, obviously.
Right. Exactly.
Jake,
Yeah.
you're like, what the hell?
Yeah, you know,
Jake's like, that was way before my time,
Yeah.
you guys.
I'm just a baby, you know, I don't know.
There's a baby
My
in a
bad.
grown-up world. Too funny. But there are a lot of great moments like that. And like you guys were saying, that scene with the bomby sandwich. I remember in the theater when that was happening. I look over at my brother. We're like, this is like a friggin' Quentin Tarantino movie right here.
Right?
But I appreciated it because again, it's no shade, obviously, to the OG or any of the sequels, but these were interesting layers, you know, and for someone who, you know, I've watched all these movies so much, it was just nice to still feel like it was fresh ground. And that's crazy to think that they were able to even do that to any level of degree after 40 years. You know what I'm saying? So it was a welcome addition. It really
And
was.
one of the, my only complaint really about the original is I've seen 78 so many times, and I still honestly can't tell you too much about Bob. I have a hard time remembering Bob's name, and I have seen this movie so many times. Bob is so completely forgettable.
Right.
And in this movie, even the small parts, they aren't small. You remember them. Everybody kind of stands out. And my favorite side character in this one is Julian. Fucking
Yes.
love that kid.
Yeah.
I love that kid so much in his nasty ass
too.
toenails.
Mhm.
He was awesome, man. The whole scene, it was cute, it was funny, it was relatable. It's like they are
That
literally
abracadabra. I know what
Yeah, the
The
abracadabra is.
Alakazam.
Yeah, the
Okay,
Alakazam. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're gonna be smoking some weed. And it's
Yeah.
like, this is like you're making me love this character that I've only seen for a few minutes. And then when the stuff started to go down, I was like, oh my God, please get out of the house. And sure enough, man, he was smart. He was
Oh, yeah.
and it was
He
nice
just
to see
ran.
that.
Yeah.
You know, they went against a trope there, and I loved it though. It was cool. It was very, very cool.
I love how this sequence makes you fall in love with like Vicky immediately. Like she is like,
Yeah.
you really like her because like, you know, she's a little snarky towards the kid at first, but then like as she's
Right.
talking to him and she's like, no, I was just kidding. You're actually my favorite kid. You know, and it's just
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh,
she was sweet,
okay,
yeah.
Vicky's so sweet, you know, but then it's like she
Mhm.
dies.
Yeah.
But it's perfect. It's great writing
You're
because you
sad.
care about these characters. If she would have just been a, you know, two-dimensional character, whatever, and then she got
Mhm.
killed, you wouldn't have cared. But it was a little more upsetting when she slips on the floor, you know? It's just like, oh no,
yeah.
you know, you're like, yeah.
Oh man,
The
that was
only
such a
thing
crazy
that-
scene.
Yeah, the only thing that bummed me out about that scene was that we got it in the trailer. That when they showed the like
the jump
"Hey,
scare
can
in
you
the
close
closet."
door, and I was like,
Yeah.
man, you know what? That I feel like it would have hit so much harder in the theater
Yes.
watching it for the first time.
Yes.
No, or if it was just a total
Why
fake
y'all
out.
gotta
and-
quit those trailers, guys. I'm telling you.
I'm telling you,
What I
man.
do, do it the
It's
only
just-
way. You watch the teaser and then you're done. No, I hate
Yes.
that. I hate it when they do
I
it to me in
know.
the theater because then I have to do like the whole earmuffs thing. But
Mhm.
yeah, then that
I-
won't happen to you.
But
Yeah.
going
Don't
back to
pause
what
them. Don't watch them in slow mo. You're just asking for trouble.
Right. Going
That's
back to
right.
what Jake was saying, you know, how they made her so likable. I feel like it would have hurt a lot more had we not known that was coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Just
Yeah, I
in
agree.
it's true.
that
That's
that's like
twice that they've gotten us, because in the 2018 trailer we had that scene, and then in Kills we had the firefighter scene, and
right.
I'm just thinking, guys, don't put these scenes in the trailer. You know
Not
what
your
I'm saying?
money
Like,
shot. Save your money shot for the
yes.
movie.
Yes,
And the
absolutely.
thing of it is I don't think it I mean, again, I'm not the marketing guy. You know, I'm not the money holder.
You
I
should
get it.
be.
Well,
Yeah.
but you know, obviously, you know, but I'm just saying is that I don't think it would have hurt the box office. You know, they could have shown, I don't know, they could have shown her babysitting him and just with the creepy music, but not show the closet scene, and I'm still invested, and I don't know what to expect. And then in the theater, I'm like, whoa, no,
Right.
she got killed, you know,
Right.
and I
Yeah.
just think, and I'm just praying, I know we're not talking about it tonight, but I'm just praying, but I know they probably will make that same mistake with Hens in the next trailer. Because it's like,
Don't.
you don't need to show these money shots, man. You
Right.
really
Oh,
don't.
I gotta quote Blucka Blucka here. That V for Vendetta mask just looks like Michael kept his facial hair and got high. That was beautiful. Had to share that.
I can neither confirm nor deny if that's
You're like
if
the
that
scary
happened.
movie version of Michael, man. I
Yeah,
love it.
exactly.
Right?
Right. I'm the
And I love
happy
all
one.
your things in the background. It's pretty rad.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I
oh,
wanna.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, you know what they did do? They when they reshot the ending, and they did use
Yeah.
the scene from the ending. You know, Lori standing off with Michael, where she's got the knife, and they're kind of circling each other. And they put
Mhm.
that in there. I've been advocating for that since I saw Scream 5, and then I started going like, oh my god, like everything from that movie is in the trailer, you know, and then Kills right after it. It's like, I liked
Yeah.
that they did that, you know, the stuff that's hitting the cutting room floor, you know, as long as it's not giving major plot points away, I feel like that should be the stuff that we see, you know, because it's just minor snippets. So it's not like we're gonna be like, oh, this movie's gonna be dog shit because, or sorry for cussing if you don't like cussing, Gory.
No, you watch the show. You know better.
I do watch the show,
I
but
was
I
just
didn't
about to
get
say.
I didn't get the permission to cuss.
You
I
you
didn't
have my
ask, and I wasn't
permission.
okay. Perfect. Yeah. So I wish they would do more of that, and I'm sure people. It's going to be a learning curve, even though movies have been around forever. To stop putting that stuff or communicate better with the marketing team or whoever's putting the trailers together. Like, just
Yeah.
come on, you know.
I agree. I think honestly, when you work so hard in a movie, I know there's a separate team and everyone that does marketing, but if I was the director, I'd be like, no, I just spent the last like year of my life working on this. I'll do the trailer. Thanks.
Mm,
I
Right,
got this.
Yeah.
that's right.
I also wanted to talk about, just because I was rewatching it, Dave, Vicky's boyfriend, you know, the one who unfortunately did not get the dry humping he was promised.
Ooh, yeah, that's
Played
right.
by
Right.
Miles Robbins, who I just saw in the quarry. So
Yeah.
I was happy. I don't know.
Nice.
Now,
nice.
now I know who he is.
He's the son of Tim Robbins and Susan Sarandon. I think.
Sarandon.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
No way.
Mhm.
Look at you
Yeah.
with the knowledge.
I-
Mhm.
We're going to talk about some more bigger characters in a bit. One of the things I wanted to talk about is they did a really bold move here. I mean, well, not an original move, but I want to say a bold move. Because, I mean, Halloween, I think how CZ puts it with the different train stops is probably the best way.
Mhm.
Because Halloween, it's like, okay, now we're not going to count these ones. And now we're not going to count these ones. But this one went all the way back to the original, saying, okay, everything is gone. Everything is gone. After 78, it's all gone. And I noticed even with Kills, I think there's some good things about that, but I do think it does hurt the franchise a little bit. And the biggest thing I feel like we lose by doing that is Loomis. His whole relationship with Michael is now erased. Marilyn, am I getting that wrong? Marion.
Marion Chambers.
Marion
She said,
Chambers.
"This is for Loomis," and I was like, because why? Because he showed up to be there
Right.
when he got arrested.
Right.
Michael never did
Right.
anything to him.
Yeah.
Michael didn't do anything to him. So what is that? I mean, he's never chased him. He's never thrown a little girl at him. He's never put a chain net on him. Their whole
Yeah.
relationship gone.
Yeah.
Right, right. Well, I mean, and I totally agree with you. I thought about that as well, as far as one of the cons of erasing, you know, the sequels. But you know, maybe maybe they might show some stuff that happened in a flashback when
Right.
Michael was still at Smith's Grove, you
Right.
know, because I mean, you still have a
Yeah.
lot of years to mine, and I, for one, am all down with another Loomis flashback or
Hell yes.
some audio moment or something to reference, you know, when he was 12 years old, he did
Mhm.
da 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 da, and
Mhm.
staring at the wall, looking beyond the wall, you know, waiting
Mhm.
for this night, you know, all that type of stuff. But I do agree that was probably for me one of the biggest cons too, because it erases our connection to Loomis. And I think when Marion said that, you know, maybe alluding to the things happening at Smith's Grove and so forth, but also for us, because in real life, you know, we've grown so accustomed to this Loomis. Loomis is Van Helsing. That's what
Yeah.
Loomis. That's what
Yeah.
Loomis is.
Yeah.
And it was such a beautiful character. And I don't want to rant about Donald Pleasance, but I absolutely loved him and this character. But I agree with you, Gory. That was one big con for me too.
So T. Parker actually has a good explanation here that I hadn't thought of, that Marion's line was more about killing Michael for Loomis, since Hawkins stopped him from doing it himself. So that's a really good point there. And that makes me
Mhm.
enjoy it a little bit more, because the only thing that made me a little sad. I was like, girl, you don't even know what Loomis has gone through. Like, I've seen those movies that made you forget, that they men in blacked out of your brain. I've seen
Yeah.
those. Like, they went through some shit.
Well, and my other thing about Loomis in this movie, like his presence is felt. You know, we were talking about like the tape recording and all that, so like that's cool. And I'm sure if Donald Pleasance was still around, he definitely would have been in this movie. But
He would have loved it.
the replacement of him with Dr. Sartain is probably my biggest negative of the entire film.
I disagree with that. I
Oh,
strongly
okay.
disagree with that.
Okay,
The
okay.
replacement for Loomis in this is Lori. It is not Dr. Sartain. That is a red herring. I think it's a misdirection. They make you think, because she even says, "You're the new Loomis." No, honey, Lori, look in the mirror. You're the new Loomis. You're the one who
Yeah.
You're the
That's
one
a fair
who knows
point.
better
That's a
than
fair point.
anybody. Sartain has a completely opposite goal for Michael. Loomis just wants him dead. Loomis
That's
is
what
like,
I don't.
"There's
That's what I
nothing
don't
there."
care for, though. Like that's
And Sartain wants to see him like out there doing Michael Myers stuff, and that's never what
Mhm.
Loomis would have wanted.
He references
Right.
it several times, you know, even in the beginning when he's like, over 50 psychiatrists have seen him and they've all come up with different conclusions, you know, and Dr. Loomis is the only one to see him in the wild. And like early on, especially, they reference Michael like he's just a wild animal. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? They say he's been in captivity, and, you know, they use so many different lines to like reference to him, not as a person, not as a entity, as an animal.
Yeah.
And I'm so indifferent on Sartain. It's like one time I can watch the movie and I love it, and then other times I watch it and I'm like, the thing that gets me the most about Sartain was him wearing the mask. But even
Yeah.
that I get indifferent, because when I was a kid, just real quick tangent. When I was a kid, we used to play pickup football games, me and my buddies. I would not play a football game without wearing an Emmitt Smith jersey. I felt like as soon as I put that jersey on,
And the mask,
I was,
right? That's how I picture this flashback.
and the mask, yeah, of course, the mask is exactly. But I had to wear that jersey when I played football, and I feel like his obsession with Michael is what, you know, it makes it make sense for me when I put it into that context. But I'm having to do the math on that. The movie's not necessarily doing it for me, so that's where I always feel conflicted. I'm like, do I hate him? Do I love him? Like, I watched it the other day to prepare for this, and I'm like, you know what? It's not that bad. But I remember right before it, I was like, I can't fucking stand that they went this direction. You know what I mean? So I'm
You're
really
supposed
still
to hate him.
divided.
That's
Right.
right. He's a heel, hun.
Right.
So
Right.
I agree with T. Parker. I was actually going to say the same thing myself. Sartain's the new Man in Black. He's Dr. Wynn. You are supposed to hate him. He's a dick.
Mhm.
He wants Michael to go out and do horrible things.
Mhm.
But the other thing, and this is a theory that I like Scary and I talk about a lot, that there's something about Michael's mask that makes him supernatural, that makes him to be able to survive things that a human being cannot survive. Michael Myers is no normal human being. And our theory has always been it's the mask, and that somehow that has like silver shamrock ties. But I do think that that mask has something in it that calls towards evil people, and Sartain is evil. And I think that mask is beckoning him, and I think he's like kind of giving into the pull of it. There's even a deleted scene where the podcaster, he's giving around with his girlfriend, the other podcaster, and he's like, I put it on and it just felt something was wrong with it. You know, like it has this like pull to it. I think it's kind of the movie's way of saying that the mask is fucking evil. There's something else to Michael Myers, and he has this relationship with that mask that's like, it's like Fred and the Mystery Machine and Scooby Doo. Like he loves that mask more than he could love anything. When
Right.
it's taken away from him and kills, like he drops what he's doing to go get it back, and he wouldn't
Yeah,
do
he
that for
does.
anything
Right.
else in the world.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, and of course in that scene, and I've said it many times before, I mean, you got the whole world about to beat his ass, and the only thing he thinks about is putting on that mask first.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? You know, he takes
Yeah.
that whatever 3 or 4 seconds to bend down, grab the mask before he even worries about anything else. So, and we saw that in 78 when Laurie started to rip it off. First thing he does, he lets her go and
Mhm.
starts to mess with that mask, and then Loomis was able to shoot him. So I do think there's something about that mask that's there. And as far as Sartain, the one thing I always kind of looked at it as was this was kind of showing a different path that Loomis could have taken if Loomis was infected by that evil of Michael Myers. You know what I'm saying? Because Sartain was with him for years and obviously, you know, was a jackass. But it's almost just like in Kills how they showed that Haddonfield was infected with that evil, you know, becoming paranoid and vigilante and not caring and so forth. So Sartain was an interesting character. I didn't hate him.
Mhm.
And obviously, he's not my favorite character in the movie, but I thought he did serve an interesting purpose because when I was watching the film for the first time in the theater, I was like, oh, okay, I see what's going on here. You know, so he was really interesting to me.
I agree. I think even though I wasn't a big fan of his, like, I just like the whole putting on the mask thing and everything he's saying
Yeah.
about Michael. It's just insane to me. It's like to the point where it's like, how were you around all these like people who had, you know, like issues
How did you
this
get a
long?
degree?
Yeah, like what? Like
Right.
I don't buy Sartain a little bit, but you are absolutely right that he serves a purpose, and to me, at least that's good writing. You know what I mean? You had to bring Michael to Laurie somehow because both of these movies make a big point that Michael is not specifically going after Laurie. So
Right.
that to me is excellent writing, consistently keeping that theme throughout these two movies. But yeah, I'm just kind of like whatever about him.
Well, like when I first watched this, and I wasn't a fan of Sartain upon first time viewing, I was like, was his only plot to kind of give a little bit of a Loomis vibe and then be the way that Michael got, you know, escaped, right? And now he's just kind of crowbarred in until Michael, obviously, spoiler alert, stomps his head.
Which is awesome.
Platinum. He's
Which-
the reason the
yes.
bus crashes. He's the reason that Michael gets to Laurie.
Right.
And I think we instantly trust him because, you know, even Laurie tells us he's the new Loomis. We're like, okay, he's going to be a good guy. They're using our expectations against us.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think for some people, it felt more like a betrayal.
Mhm.
But for me, it just didn't bother me because, like I said, to me, Laurie is the new Loomis.
Yeah.
Yep.
And just going back to you talking about the mask, my favorite shot in this the David Gordon Green series thus far is when he finally gets that mask and they're shooting through, like they're inside the car. And
Yeah.
you see him just staring, and you know, like obviously he's staring at the camera, but what I was like, dude, he's looking at his own reflection, like he's finally been reunited with his mask. Like now he feels more unstoppable than ever, and he's just about to, like, it got me so pumped because I'm like, oh my god, he's gonna go ape shit right now.
That's a
Right?
really good point. I keep thinking, you know, even in this one, and then the second one, they make a really big point about it, how he's always looking at reflective surfaces. I was like, when did Michael become such a narcissist? But no, you're right. It's his mother with
He's
his
doing his
mask.
hair.
He wants
Yeah.
to look at his mask and wear it too. He's like, damn, mask, you looking good.
Right? Because he's just just a still shot of him just staring at the
Right.
camera, but you know,
it's
he's
like
looking
Fred
at
with
his
the Mystery
reflection.
Machine. He fucking loves this mask.
And
He
he's
does.
ready to
He does.
roll. You know what I mean? Like it's been 40 years since he's had that
Right.
mask, and now it's
like
game time.
lovers
you know?
reunited.
In that
He cares
opening
about the way he
scene-
looks too.
Yes.
You ever notice that? Like but seriously, like I know how goofy that sounds, but like Michael cares about the way he looks, about like the mask. He's got to have the mechanic's outfit. You know, he's wearing like, think about it. He
Yes.
could have just killed people and, you know, his clothing, his patient clothing. Why
That's
not?
right.
But no,
That's
he
right.
he specifically
Talk about
goes
that
after.
jumpsuit.
Wait, what? I'm sorry.
Let's talk about that jumpsuit because the mask makes sense to me. Why you would go out of your
Mechanics
way to
beware.
get your mask? It's your mask. It goes in your face, you know. But the jumpsuit now in '78, it seemed a matter of convenience, you know, because the guys
Yes.
on the side of the road.
That's
in
right.
this one, no, you went out of your way because you want blue coveralls.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What is it about blue coveralls? Like this one, I need explained for me. Smart brains in this chat. Explain it to me.
I really think Michael has like this artistic edge to him that's so interesting. We don't know too much about his character, but I mean, like, think about his presentation with kills. It's almost like art in a weird sort of way, you know? Like he
Yeah.
has this human side to him, but it's just so obscured and so tough to understand, you know? That's what I find so interesting about the character, the overall mystique.
Yes, I was gonna say that too,
Mystique?
man. The mythology of Michael Myers, you know, the mask, the background, the boogeyman, you know, everything that Loomis taught us and so forth. I think it's the one thing that really makes him stand out from the other horror icons for me, just for me.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge Jason guy. You guys know that. But with Michael, that mythology, the mystery, the background, the boogeyman, you can't kill the boogeyman. And it's just creepy, you know. And I think that that's one of the coolest things about Michael. And they were able to really tap into that in 2018. And I was
Yeah.
shocked. Before I saw 2018, I am not shitting you guys. I was nervous. I was going to go see it anyways. You know, I told my brother we're going opening night, and we did.
I think you
And
told your brother.
yeah, yeah,
There's
because he
no
knew.
argument here.
You knew what was going on, Kill, if you're watching. But anyways, but no, but for
Killian.
real, I would, yeah. I mean, but I was nervous, and so was he. And I don't even know, maybe 15 minutes into the movie, I was like, okay, good job, guys. You did it. Because, you know, it had been a little while. And again, the David Gordon Green thing and Danny McBride, and is that going to work? And it's been a long time. And, you know, but they were really able to tap into that mythology and that quote unquote coolness. I know that's probably not a good word, but Michael is fucking cool, man. So, and they were able to do that, you know?
I have a shirt. It's kind of a Mean Girls thing, but they're all sitting at a table and says, "You can't sit with us." But yeah, Michael totally looks like the jock in this. And there's even a music video where he's basically kind of a jock character. And I agree with that. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
He would be like the cool, popular guy in school with like the cheerleader girlfriend. Only in this case, it would probably be like, I don't know, Carrie.
Right.
Interesting couple.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
man. Can you see them at the prom?
Something I think is really not to be understated about this movie, because we've seen so many, and it's one of the things I tend to forgive a lot, but getting that look right is really hard to do. Even when they had the original mask in part 2, it doesn't look right because it's been under Deborah Hill's bed for a year. But yeah, for some reason, getting that mask right has just been really hard. I think the one I hate the most is the Greg Nicotero one that people say is like the alien one from 5. It just doesn't look right. But yeah, getting that mask to look the way it did, or at least look like it's the same mask, is so hard. You know, in 4 it's too white. So many of them, one of them it's CGI.
Yep.
He just looks, usually he looks kind of sad. He looks pissed off in Resurrection. Like,
yes.
But this one, I thought, no, that's perfect. That's exactly how the masks should look. Exactly how it should look.
Christopher Nelson did a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've said it so many times. Him and James Jude Courtney, they're the MVPs so far for me. Like, and the mask, the gore, everything has been fantastic.
Yep. And you know, you're right. The mask, and I've said it so many times, they just could not get that fucking mask right for so long. You know what I mean? And in part 2, the other thing about it too is that Dick Warlock, his face is wider than Nick Castle, right? So, and again, it's 1981, so they were just like, okay, well, let's just, you know, just put it on, and you know, people won't really pay attention. But David Gordon Green and these filmmakers, they paid close attention. They were like, let's make this mask look right. David Gordon Green has said, for the shots of Michael in these movies, he would spend so much time crafting the way the light hit the mask, where the camera angles are, just for like you know, a couple seconds of Michael in a frame. They would spend so much time because he wanted Michael to look right every time he was on screen. And for the most part, to me, this is as good as Michael has looked like forever, you know, since 78, you know what I mean? And it's just a testament to the care. It's just the care, you know, because the mask is the thing that you connect to when you think of Michael Myers. And for so long, the mask just didn't look right. I mean, I think Rob Zombie's was pretty good. You know, the first Rob Zombie movie was pretty good.
6 was good.
Six was good.
Six was pretty good. I mean, it was definitely better than 4 and 5. But then H2O was kind of like the eyes are too
Kind of looks
big,
like
and
Chucky. He looks like
yeah,
Chucky's kid. Glenn.
yeah, and it's
The
just like,
eyebrows.
guys, come on, this is an important thing that you've got to get right,
Also,
and yeah,
just slasher movies in general, tuck that damn mask in, all right?
Right?
And don't show too much light in the eyes. Like
Right?
it's crucial. It's crucial.
No shade to Don Shanks from Part 5 when he played Michael. He's fantastic, a fantastic stunt guy. He's had a few bit parts in movies too, and he's awesome. He gave a pretty good performance, but that mask and not tucking it in, it just looks horrible. I remember as a
Tuck
little
your
kid,
mask
I was just
in.
like, what the hell is going on with Michael? As a kid, I was like, what? And the worst part too, I know I'm ranting. I'm sorry.
No,
but-
I love it. I'm here for it.
But for 4 and 5, they screwed us, because I would go to Blockbuster and I'd look at the cover of that VHS tape and it's the right mask. But in the movie, it's wrong
yeah.
for 4 and 5. And I love the poster for 4 and 5,
Yeah. Talk about the ultimate bait and switch,
Yes.
I couldn't understand it. I mean, I love Curse of Michael Myers. I love the movie. That's my guilty pleasure. But the mask, I love that one.
I think
But
it's great.
I'm gonna go out and say it. 2 bold takes. The 2018 mask is my favorite in the entire franchise. I love 78's mask. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But 2018 is my favorite. And honestly, I know this is probably gonna piss some people off, but I think James Jude Courtney is my number one shape. He's my guy. We have a bigger sample size to go with, which
Yeah.
could be a good thing or a bad thing. He could have screwed it up, but he's just knocked it out of the park for me. And I love Nick
really
Castle
has.
too. I mean, he would
Right.
be my number. Maybe it's a
Nick
1A,
Castle's
1B.
great, and Dick Warlock actually, him and his son Lance actually have a store that they opened in my town, and they used to live
wow.
here, which is kind of
Very
crazy.
cool.
Oh, that's dope.
But yeah, James Jude Courtney would be my favorite too. No shame to anybody else whose hometown is this one, and they love Dick Warlock, because we all love Dick Warlock.
Yeah.
He has a great
Oh
name.
yeah, absolutely.
I also love how seriously James Jude Courtney took this. He did kind of what to Michael Myers, what Kane Hodder did to Jason, where he took it seriously as an acting role. And he
Yes.
says that he played Michael as a predator. And to study for this film, he actually met with real life killers. And thought very carefully about what is this like for Michael, like his relationship with his mask, his being out free for after it's been so long, and the fact that he's 61 years old, he's like
right.
a year younger than my mom.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, even the walk, man, he was able to get the walk down, that wonderful one shot where he kind of looks down the street and you see there's 1,000 people out and they have no clue that they are literally in the heart of darkness, and you got the fantastic score and he just starts walking and I'm like, my God, he's got it.
So
got
good.
it.
I'm
So
in no
good.
hurry. Walk.
Yeah.
By the way, my mummy is here, guys. She says hello, Gory and Friends. I think we're renaming the show to Gory and Friends. I kind of love that.
I do
Gory
like
and
that.
Friends.
That's nice. Very good.
Get this upbeat music. Hey.
Gory and Friends.
Everyone's slashing off
Weird.
each other's heads
Oh my
and
god,
stuff.
that's
Yeah.
the Full House opening.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my
but horror,
God.
yeah.
Right.
That'd be great.
Also, I like that they credited him as the Shape in the credits,
Yes.
which is
Yes.
That's really
going back
cool.
to the original, which is cool.
Mhm.
Even Laurie refers to him as the Shape. I want to talk about a
Yes.
couple things in this movie that I thought were interesting. One, it's the first movie where Michael has ever killed a kid, and I think it's because the kid had a rifle. I think he's got predator rules. Like the predator will not kill somebody who's essentially harmless, but the kid has a rifle. So I think Michael's rule would be, yeah, okay, he's got a gun.
But what about the kid in Kills in the skull mask?
Well, this was the first time. Kills would be after.
Oh, okay. Well, no, I know, but I'm
one-
saying if
Okay,
his
I see what you're
rules
saying.
were like, because I don't know if did he have
'Cause
the
he's a
rifle when he
dude?
ran into the. I love that he did that, and it was like a little nod to the Annie Brackett
Yes.
kill. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
that's when as if they, there were several other scenes that made you, realize they're not messing around. Is like when he killed the kid, I was like, oh shit, like they're
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
they're going
Those
for
dogs,
it, and I dug it.
those
I
kids.
love that they did that.
He didn't kill the baby. Why do you think he didn't kill the
Right.
baby?
Well, you got a point
Well,
about that, and he's also in front. Like the two kids run into him at that one point right at the beginning of that long shot, and he
Mhm.
doesn't kill them. You know, I think you honestly have a good point about the rifle thing. That's
Yeah.
interesting to me.
mhm,
I
yeah.
also
Yeah.
think with the kids he runs into and stuff, I feel like a lot of times Michael is like me in the grocery store, where even if I see my absolute best friend, I'm just like, I'm here for milk. I'm here for milk. I want to go.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like
yeah.
Michael is just like, I'm on my way to kill that guy. I do not have time for this shit right now. Like,
Right.
I
Too
feel
much
like it's
going
not
on.
even so much that he has a
Right.
softer side to him. It's just like, this is not part of what I'm doing right now.
Mhm,
Right.
Yeah,
Like he's kind of just
absolutely.
like one track mind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And at
yeah.
that time, was he? I mean, not that he needed it, but he wasn't armed when he ran into those kids, because that was also a little
No.
Halloween 2 nod with the kid with the
Yep. The
stereo.
boombox.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the boombox.
Kid
But
Warlock's kid, Lance.
yeah, but he
Yep.
wasn't armed at
Throwing
that
at
time.
you.
Maybe he's just he's more strategic than we give him credit for. You know, he's like
Well,
understands. Like I don't. You know, I don't know. I don't know.
It could be. Well, I'll tell you what. What you just said, the I don't know. That's the money.
And that's the best. Yes,
That's
Yeah.
the
best.
money, is because we don't know. And I think that scene, that's what it was like, because you saw him
I
just
like that you're Nick
walking.
Castling that drink.
Mhm.
Right. That's great.
I know.
You should do a picture like that,
Oh,
dude.
I know. I should put this. Let me get this off. Maybe I could do. Here, someone screenshot this and send it to me. If I can. Here, let me take these off really quick.
All right, I'll get you as soon as I get paint open.
I don't think it's gonna stay, but we'll try it.
Too funny.
All right, you ready? Ready? Got it.
Nice. Nice.
Aw, love it. I was gonna say, damn it, I had a thing I was gonna say and I lost my train of thought.
I fucked it up. I'm sorry.
No, it was funny. I think Knight was saying something too, but whatever. It was funny. So by Gory
Yeah.
rule, Gory goes. My way of life is essentially Roger Rabbit. Anything's okay as long as it's funny. So yeah, we got off track, but it was funny, so I'll allow it. Let's talk about how this reboot essentially changes the relationship between Laurie and Michael, which is kind of the center of this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was interesting. It was, now that they're not brother and sister, it's kind of like, okay, how's this connection? And it really focused a lot on Laurie and how she dealt with that night and the aftermath. And she really held on to that obsession, and it just
Mhm.
festered, and I think that was an interesting, it was different than how we saw her in H2O. I've heard a lot of people say, okay, well, 2018 is really just kind of pulling angles from H2O, as far as how Laurie was depicted. But I think it was quite different, because
I
in
agree.
this movie, she allowed Michael and that night to totally rule her existence. You know what I'm saying? To the
Mhm.
point where she wasn't even, a great mother. I mean, she was a great mother in trying to protect Karen and prepare her, but she forgot about, all the important things, being
Nurturing.
more
She's
nurturing.
nurturing.
Mhm.
The other one, she became kind of a hard ass.
Yeah.
But in this, she becomes Sarah Connor.
Yes.
She's like, no, your whole existence is going to be to stay alive.
Yes.
And I like that they even
Yes.
gave Karen like that really cool backstory. Like I like how even the flashback, she's like, gotcha. And then you
Yeah.
can see that's just part of how she's grown up. And
Mhm.
like no character was neglected in this. I think everyone got kind of like a cool, like something cool to do. It had something cool to their story. But
Mhm.
yeah, Laurie, like she is just obsessed with never being I guess never being a victim
A
again.
victim.
And I
Mhm.
think the
Yeah.
big theme of this movie is, how pain and trauma can become generational. Like your grandparents' pain, a lot of people hear about that, even things they didn't experience. They hear about like the war or something from their grandparents and how that
Right.
pain gets passed down. And one
Right.
thing I really loved about this movie, as far as that theme goes, because you kind of hope that the generations after you are going to learn from what happened to you. My biggest criticism of Halloween, well, my big criticism of Laurie, I would say, is every time she gets a weapon, she throws it away. I'm like, no, Laurie, you need that. Hang on to that, girl. But she
Right.
can't. And I think it's because Laurie is rejecting this idea of having to be a fighter. You know, she's doing it because she has to and she has it in her, but she does not want to commit to that. She still wants to be this nice girl who's in high school. And I love that in this movie, the last shot we see is Allison gripping that knife. She does not let it go. And I feel like it's kind of like the movie's way of saying that this generational thing that's been passed down, it's done a lot of damage, but it made Karen ready. It's made Allison ready. And they're never going to let that knife go again. So I thought that was kind of like I don't know if it was intentional, but to me it seemed like a beautiful way of kind of tying back to Lori, what originally happened to Lori.
Right.
I definitely see it in a darker lens, but yeah, like it's almost like that shot to me when it focuses in on the knife. It's like, now this is something that has affected the entire family. Where at the beginning you have Karen saying like she projected all of this anxiety and all these horrible things onto me when I was a child, and I've spent my whole life trying to get over it. But it's ultimately the thing that ends up protecting her from a greater evil than what Lori projected onto her as a child. It's like it's kind of terrible in a way. It's kind of a pessimistic film, and all
I don't think it's like a good thing. I think it's a double-edged thing. On the one hand, like I think that you lose your childhood, you lose any kind of happiness, and I think the beauty of being a child is that you think the world is better, safer than it is, and they never got that.
Right.
But,
well,
and Karen even says something about that.
I was gonna say
And she's totally proven wrong, you know?
Yeah,
it's
the
like
world's
oh,
not
shit.
all ugly. It's happy, and you can see it's almost like Arrested Development, because she never got that childhood. You know what I mean?
That's
she was
right.
always was raised to be like John Connor in Terminator, going back to the whole Sarah Connor analogy.
It's true.
And you could see that she's trying to, it's like dig up or keep it fresh, that like because it was traumatic for her to grow up that way. You know, she didn't get a normal childhood. And she was like, I lived in fear of the basement, you know, and all that stuff. And so she tries to hold on to that childlike outlook on life, that everything is all happy-go-lucky and roses. And you know, it's almost like, thank God she had that seed planted in her by Lori by the end of the movie. You know what I mean? Because that muscle memory kicks back in by the time he reveals himself at the top of the stairs. You know.
Well, that whole final act, I love Judy Greer anyways, but her character, I had a lot of complicated emotions with her, because of course, as the viewer, I know that Lori's right. I know what's going to happen. But, you know, looking at it from Karen's perspective, I was like, okay, I definitely get it. You've had a really, really tough life. But at the end, when they reconciled in the basement while they're about to maybe get killed by Michael Myers, those moments between those two actresses, these two characters, I felt it, and it felt genuine. And again, it tugged at my heartstrings again, I mean, like I said, that's why I think this movie, these extra layers that they've added, I think when people look at it, like, you know, friends of mine or whatever that aren't big into horror, they're like, yeah, Halloween 18. Yeah. Okay. You love horror movies anyways. And it's like, that's true. But this movie really is trying to be a little bit more, or maybe a lot more, than your average slasher
a lot
movie.
to say.
Yes.
And the complicated relationship with family, where you're a family member, they can put you through hell, and still at the end of it, they're all like, you know, I love you, because they know they might die. You know, that family bond is there, even though they've had a strained relationship. And I also feel like there's something to that too. Like, you know, when your older generations tell you stories and you're just kind of like, okay, old people talking, that the movie's almost kind of warning you to listen, because history does repeat itself. And nobody believes Lori. Nobody believes that it's ever going to come back. It's all her fantasies and her delusions. But she's right, and he does.
And we can all relate to that to some degree. I mean, I can think back to a lot of times growing up when my parents would say, you know, whatever, this or that, or talk about how important it is to, you know, to work and pay your bills, or to make your bed, or whatever it is, you know, whether it was a small little thing or very important. And we can all relate to that. And Karen was literally, this was what her character was about the warnings that she had through her life, and how she railed against that. But fortunately for her, like you guys said, the muscle memory was there, because she was just forced to do it, and she did it. And thankfully it helped to save all three of them in the movie, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
I also like that show that there's a price for surviving. You know, like a lot of these movies, like I always get confused by people who are like, well, it's so cool that Marilyn, you know, Sally lives at the end of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm like, oh no, she's broken. That girl's broken. I don't care what the new remake says. That girl is broken. She is mentally gone. She
That's a
didn't
good point.
survive. She physically survived, but she's gone.
Yeah.
And to actually survive something like that, something so scary and traumatizing, like it takes a toll on people. And Lori is hanging on by a thread. Her whole life is about this. She's got PTSD and alcoholism, and she's tough. But I like that they also showed that she's really scared all the time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Good point.
Yeah.
That's a great point. My God, you're all
Yeah.
right. I'm just saying.
I just felt like
No,
it
was
breaks my
good.
heart, like how she's just like she's trying so hard to be tough for Allison's dinner because it's about Allison. It's about Allison, and
Mhm.
she just breaks down crying because she was so scared to actually see him
Right.
again. And it's so hard to see that, because she's
Right.
so tough. But they layered it so beautifully that
Mhm.
that there's a lot more to it. There's a lot of pain.
That scene hit me so hard, man, because
Yeah.
number one, I'm a huge Jamie Lee Curtis fan. I'm a huge Laurie Strode fan. So to see her break down like that, and full credit to Andy Matichak. I thought she was a great addition to this whole thing. I think she did very well. And in that scene when Laurie literally put her head on her granddaughter's shoulder, I'm man enough to admit it, man. I got teary-eyed too. And I was like, wow, this
She was
is
a great choice. They actually originally
yes.
Emma Roberts from Scream 4 met with them.
Mm.
Lucy, the gal from Pretty Little Liars,
Lucy-
she met with them. And Lucy Hale. Eventually,
Hale.
they decided that they wanted to do what the original movie did and get an unknown actress, kind of paying tribute
That
to
was a
like
good-
how Jamie Lee was discovered. And I'm glad they
Mhm.
did because I think
Yeah.
Mhm.
she's
a good
perfectly
choice.
cast.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the drama aspects of this movie is something that really flies under the radar. Like, so I'm glad we're talking about this because everyone talks about like, oh yeah, like all the funny moments and all that, but it's countered with this family drama at the core of this film that's so well written, and like I said, it's a little pessimistic, but then you have these flashes of something so silly with these other characters, and it's just a really nice completely different field of emotions, like all over the place. Like you're getting something really dramatic and really dark at one point, and then something really silly, like completely out of left field. And it's just a nice blend in
You
tone.
need that levity.
Yes, yeah, I love that about this film. It's something that I feel like this and Halloween Kills are the only two movies in this whole franchise to have. It's a certain flavor that's just nice. It's nice. It's refreshing.
Agreed. Totally agreed.
I also want to talk about Michael Myers' legacy. That's the other thing that I'm sometimes like, it's hard for me to wrap my head around, because I've been watching these movies like most of my life. And so when I think of Michael Myers, I think of a long list of bodies. But at the beginning of this movie, it's like, what, 6? I think 7 if you count his sister. And so what is it, what is it about that night that has made him the boogeyman? Because everything else is gone.
Yeah.
So what is his legacy? Is it because of Haddonfield? Is it the fact that he wore a mask? Is it the way he did it? Like, what do you think created his legacy? Because we no longer can say it's about the number of bodies or the amount of time. It was one night.
Well, I think for me, part of it is Haddonfield. It's a small, it's a small town, so to speak, or whatever. Like where I live, if there was a child, like even today in 2022, where I live, which is very small, if there was a 6-year-old boy that killed his sister and is just totally like, just gone, it would be very creepy to me, and I think it really would shock the community, so I think a lot of it was Haddonfield, the time that it happened. Again, you got to remember this is back in 63, so the whole idea of murderers and so forth, it was just kind of different. So I think that was a big part of it. And of course, when 78 happened, I mean, he's got this mask on, and he can't be seen. He's the shape and how things happened and so forth. He kills the daughter of the sheriff. So I think there
He
are a
ate
lot
a
of
dog.
I mean, right,
Yeah.
right, yeah. He was in Smith's Grove for so long, and he found a way to drive a car.
got
He must have been
hungry.
taking lessons.
Mhm.
And so I think all these things were part of it. Plus, of course, Loomis. Loomis spent those years with him, and he couldn't be reached. He didn't say a word. He was able to talk, but he didn't say a word, just staring. And I think it's just all this creepy stuff combined with the
Mhm.
time it took place in, and also where it took place. And I think those are the things that just started to blossom into this mythology of the boogeyman.
Yeah, I agree that there's like this wonderful mystique about his character. It's not present in every movie because there's even some movies that I like 5 and 6 I think are just dedicated to explaining it. But to me, I almost love living in the mystery a little more. Like I love like, you know, there's like little hints and stuff all over the place as to like what his motives are, some characteristics about him, but at the end of the day, it's almost just like he's the shape of like the shape of a human being but hollow on the inside, which is to me the most fascinating thing about him. And I hope Enns doesn't try to just like overly explain the character. They don't need to.
Right. Yeah, I've gone as far as saying I don't even want them to explain him gone for 4 years. I don't want to hear an explanation for that. I think that's even creepier than hearing like, oh, he was stuck in a sewer or he was being nursed back to health by, you know, Dr. Mathis or whoever. Like
random old man.
Yeah, I mean, because if you think about it in H2O, there's no explanation for the time gap and how he got to, you know what I
Scary to
mean?
wonder
He's
where
just,
he's been.
and I think that it like you guys are saying, it's better that they just leave it alone. Let our imaginations run with it. Because I'm gonna come up with an idea, you know, Jake, Knight, Gory, you guys will all come up with your own theories, and maybe I like yours better than mine, but it's more fun that way, and it's more scary. Everything's way more scary with less explanation. So
I think that's it. I think it's that people can't wrap their heads around it. I mean, I do live in a small town, and we have had one in particular really grisly murder where just the things that I won't get into it, but the things that were done to the bodies of these people were horrible. And I live in a relatively small town and people still talk about it. But I think with Michael Myers, where it's become even bigger than that is because people don't understand it. At least with a lot of other ones, you're like, well, they had a bad childhood or something happened, but Michael didn't have a bad childhood. Like what happened? Why is he like this? Is he just evil? And that's what, and I don't think people are comfortable just saying that someone's just pure evil, even though that's what Loomis keeps saying. He's just evil, you know, stop looking for an answer. Stop. Because there is no answer. And for me, I think that's why he has this legacy, because, you know, even the podcasters at the beginning are trying to understand it. Is it lore? Like, what is it about him, about, you know, Haddonfield and his house and his mask? Like, people just trying to make sense of it. And there really is no way to make sense of it.
Well, as a society, we're obsessed with the why. Even something as simple as a car accident, right? On your way home, like you start wondering, like, why? What happened? You know what I mean? Like, we're obsessed with the why. And I don't know if that was consciously specifically done when 78 was made, but it's better that way with not knowing the why. You know what I mean?
Well, and also I was just gonna say, and also the innocence of a child. You know, it's like anytime you hear, like even today, like when I hear about kids doing violent things or what have you, it affects me. You know, because the hope is that, you know, kids are innocent, right? And obviously as you get older,
they are.
right. You know, and of course, once they get to the point where they're, you know, whatever, mid-teens, late teens, whatever, you know, obviously they've been around a lot of shit. And then you can see why influences can go one way or the other. But this was a 6-year-old kid, just like in real life, when you see young kids do weird stuff, it's scary. It's creepy. You know?
And in the original, I mean, his parents are weird, and then they just fucking sit there and stare at him. Michael, they just stare at him and just zooms out. Just like, are you guys gonna do anything? But I mean, they seem relatively normal. So it's not like the Rob Zombie one where they explain that, you know, he's really been broken down. But in this iteration of the story, like, there's no reason for it. Nobody was horrible to him. Like, he was a normal kid. I mean, he was given everything that a normal kid is given. Like, he had no reason. It's just, he's just evil. He's just evil. Like, you know, like, even somebody who has, like, you know, mental conditions and stuff. And I guess, you know, Michael has one, but he's more of just on the spectrum of evil, like not on like any other.
Great way to put it.
Yeah. Agreed.
I've talked about before comparing him to like a Batman villain, silly enough. Like, you know, like you'll look at like there's like Dr. Eggman or not Dr. Eggman, that's Sonic. What's there's like an egg themed Egghead. And it's like he's outwardly evil. He's like, oh, I drip with evil and all that. But like I think what's so interesting about Michael Myers is he's almost like the realistic version of a character that actually is evil. Like he wouldn't be so outwardly like so fruitful and so like, oh, hey, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like more Michael Myers would, like an actual evil person, an actual evil entity like that wouldn't care to talk, wouldn't care to be pleasant, would just care about one thing, and that's like killing, causing chaos, and that's essentially what Michael Myers does. It's great. It's just amazing writing. That's what separates it from other slashers to me.
How he's described in Kills, they say something along the lines of how he has like the mind of a 6-year-old, the body of a man, and he's like behaves like an animal.
Yeah,
and I see that a lot. Like they brought about a lot of his playful nature back, like the teeth thing. He's just being he's having fun, you know, or coming out of the closet. That's a child. That's what a child does. A child playing. To him, this is fun. You know, he feels when he does the knife thing. He's like, wonder what this does. Wonder what this does. There's this like really like the kind of child who pulls the wings off a fly's nature to him, like this dark, evil curiosity, kind of like the scary side of kids. You know, when kids do things and they seem to have no understanding of like empathy.
Right.
Michael like epitomizes that.
Yeah. It's almost like when you see those animals that were rehabilitated, then released back into the wild, and you see them when they get out there, they just run and they jump and they almost don't know how to control how it is. It's like he's back in the wild, and he's just like you said, he treats that guy's back like a pincushion. I
want to see Free Mikey now.
Free Mikey.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah,
Corey will be standing. Corey Cunningham will be standing under him as he's flying over the top. Please don't do that. I know they won't. Do that, but like,
I know, man.
Let me retract that statement. I
will leave the theater if I see that.
Right. That's funny.
I also mentioned earlier, we talked about the score a little bit, and a lot of people say it's the same score, but to me, it's very, very different. One, I think it's really cool when you watch the behind the scenes. You can see some of the stuff they did to make those sounds, like using a bow and a guitar, which is really cool and creative.
Jimmy Page right there.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Led Zeppelin,
But to me, the score is slower. One, it has more instruments, more people working on, because the original was just John Carpenter. But it's a lot slower, and it sounds almost like sadder and more somber, and you know, more mature in places. And I think one of my favorite tracks on it is when the house is burning, and it actually has this kind of hopeful, uplifting track. That's a little like victorious, but I think it is very different. What are your guys' thoughts on the score?
I love it. I absolutely love it. It was amazing. In the theater, I was just in heaven, man. I mean, that scene where Allison first sees Michael.
The Shape hunts Allison. That's what the track name is. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I actually like it better than the original, even though I know that's kind of blasphemy to say.
Oh,
I don't disagree
it's good,
with
though.
you.
It is really, really good.
I love it.
It like gets your it just gets you going, and it's like hitting you in multiple ways. I've got the soundtrack, I've got it on vinyl, and it's just so sweet listening to it. And you're right, maturity in the music too. And obviously because John has, crafted so much since then, but also having other musicians like Cody and working on it, and it's a more rich type of sound in the music, and I absolutely love it.
And don't get me wrong, I love the original. I feel like the original one perfectly encapsulates Michael Myers because it's just to the point. It's just scary, and it's effectively scary. But this one more represents like the family, the Strode family, because it's got these emotional layers that aren't present in the original, which I just think are really beautiful. And it's not as iconic as the original, but definitely as good as the original, I would say.
Yeah. I know where you're at, because I feel the same way, and like the way I've justified it to people is like I'll be like, okay, when I say the dance moonwalk, who do you think of?
Michael.
Who do you think of? Michael Jackson, right?
Yeah.
Michael Jackson didn't invent the moonwalk. There was a tap dancer named Bill Bailey. So but Michael is the guy that we associate with it, and I would say is the best at it. And that's how I compartmentalize when I make those, like the 2018 Mask right here is my favorite, and James Jude Courtney is my favorite. Michael is like Nick Castle's a legend. He is there we go.
Ooh, nice.
He is the creator of The Shape as we know it. But for me, what what I mean, I'm just saying James Jude, and that's how I rationalize it. Is
Yeah.
like no one knows who Bill Bailey is, or very few do,
Right.
you
Right.
know. So
Mhm.
It's cool that
Yep.
you know.
It's true.
I do.
Yeah.
Right.
I
You
love
learn
that.
something new every day.
I'm
Well, and that's how art is, though, right? You always
yes.
have inspiration from before
Mhm.
you. I mean, and when you talk about Michael Jackson, I mean, he was hugely inspired by James Brown as well. I mean, he was
Right.
stealing a lot of James
Oh yeah.
Brown,
Oh yeah.
and James Brown is a giant among men as well. But it's just like with James Jude. I think it was really cool. First of all, showing total respect to Nick Castle. The
Yep.
relationship that James Jude, Courtney, and Nick Castle have, I think is fantastic. And again, I think it's an example
Mhm.
for other horror films, but especially long-running franchises, to remember who got you here,
Right.
and pay
Yeah.
respect to them. You might learn something. It's just like with children and parents, and I
Yep.
think it's fantastic. But you're right, Mav. James Jude was able to push new boundaries
Mhm.
with Michael, again, a bigger sample size, but I mean, he was doing some really good stuff physically with Michael, the way he
Mhm.
moved, the way he reacted, the way he would turn his head, and
Mhm.
and of course, camera angles were on point, and
Right.
so forth and so forth. The care was taken to make it look good too. So I love it. You've just really just elevated something that for
Yeah.
40 years was held as the golden standard. And don't get me wrong,
Right.
I mean, the OG is still the
The
OG.
OG is the
We
OG.
we gonna be real, but
Mhm.
these guys, seriously, I know I've already said it, but 2018, what these guys have been able to do, they hit a friggin' home run. And
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
proof was in the pudding with the box office and even critical praise.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
the critics were actually on board. And I was like, wow, this is really something,
Because it's just really like we were talking about earlier, like the drama, it's just so well acted. Jamie Lee Curtis is a force of nature, and like in everything,
Mhm.
of course, but in this
Mhm.
especially, she
Mhm.
just brings it with this character and a whole new take on Laurie Strode that
Mhm.
elevates this from not just it's a good slasher. If you look at just the slasher elements of this, it's good. It's got some awesome
That
kills.
guy's
It's
head
got a
gets
great
turned into
killer.
a jack-o'-lantern. It's awesome.
Right, yeah, like there's some awesome kills. You already have that. Like that would have been like, okay, I'm impressed. But you take it to a whole nother level by adding that
Mhm.
psychological and that element and the drama element to it as well, which is why I feel like it has had this critical, this very positive critical response to it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And there's the motion sensor kill, right? Which
Oh,
Oh,
that's
that's
my
so well
favorite.
done.
so
And I
okay.
want to hear, do you know the actual story behind it? Because I know David Gordon Green says that one was something he's been wanting to put in a movie for a long time, that it's based on a personal story, but he never shares the story. Do you know?
I don't, but
I really want to know.
I don't know if I could have swore I've seen another movie where there was a motion sensor style kill. I don't know if it was pre 2018 or post 2018. I can't remember the movie for the life of me. I was hoping maybe one of you guys could
I don't know the
educate me.
movie, but I'll tell you what, man, there's like a Doctor Who episode where
Oh, the Weeping Angels?
yes, and that's kind of the vibe I was getting, it's like every
Mhm.
time
You
you'd
got to
look
keep your
away,
eyes on it.
they'd come closer and closer, and
Yeah.
this is a little bit different, but the vibe
No, you're right, though.
was so cool because you got the motion sensor, it's dark, and again, Michael, he just
Michael Audrey Myers.
I
He's
love it,
kind
man.
of
The mythology, he just moves. It's like, how did he
yeah,
do that?
and he
He's
kind of he
he's 60
stands a
years
little
old,
a little
Oh, how great is
crooked
it
with
that
his
they're at Mr. Elrod's house?
yes,
Yeah.
No?
the Elrods, the callback to
Come
the
on,
Sorry,
Elrods.
dude.
Mr.
Like,
Elrod.
Sorry,
the
Mr.
detail. I
Elrod.
love it. I love that
Yeah.
attention to detail.
Yeah, no, that was a fantastic like sequence leading up to the score we were just talking about, the Shape
Yeah.
Hunts Allison. Like,
Mhm.
oh my, like it was so and I loved the backlighting of Michael, right? Like
Yeah.
you couldn't quite make out his mask, but like I said, he's
Mhm.
standing kind of off, like he's getting ready to do something, and then lights out,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh shit, the next time these things come on, it's
Right?
about to be ugly, and
And the thing of it is like with horror movies, I mean, all of us have seen tons of horror movies, and it
Mhm.
was so cool to get that creepiness back, in 2018 with a very well-known character. We've seen a lot of Michael killing, but they
Yeah.
were again able to kind of just take us back a little bit, maybe to our childhood for a moment, and be
Mhm.
like, whoa, like you said, he's like, he is gonna, oh
Yeah.
God, and it
And
was just very, very creative.
how brilliant is it that they've added these layers, they've added this richness, and as Jake put it, the drama.
Mhm.
And yet Michael Myers is still a mystery. I think that's the mistake some of the sequels have made is they try to get their in through Michael Myers by explaining Michael Myers, and that makes him to me less scary. It's scarier that we just don't know. James Jude Courtney is so good in this. Like, I'm sitting here going, what are you thinking? And that's exactly what they want me to do. And it's so effective. In this one, they had the right idea. Go in through Laurie. You know, that's where you're going to get your emotion. That's where you can add some more development. And I think it was a really smart move.
Yeah. And they struck a nice balance. Sorry, Jake.
No, you're good. You're good.
I was going to
You're
say
good.
with, you know, the on-screen kills and actually the off-screen kills, you know what I mean? Like there was several kills that you didn't get, you know, the cops, right? We didn't get to see how Michael did that, right? Because at that time they were both looking for Hawkins because they seen his car, you know what I mean? And then found him, assuming Sartain's, his body, not his head, the remnants of his head. But like they did a lot of cool stuff, like it, you know, it wasn't so in your face with the whether it's practical effects, CGI, whatever. Like the kills is like they did leave some stuff up to mystery, which it's nice seeing that, you know, because we know, like especially Night, you know, with Friday the 13th, how many off-screen kills they had to do just because of the MPAA. But it was cool that they incorporated that, right? That they still
and I feel like every kill in this movie somehow homaged another one, either in the way it happened, like even the stomp one that's kind of like from Rob Zombie's, or in the way the body was found, like when Ray's body is found and it looks just like how Linda's body is found, which I love those little details.
I love the neck snap too with the kid's father. Like when Hawkins finds him, that is so upsetting. Like I don't know who created that's Christopher Nelson probably, but that bone sticking out of his skin. Oh
yeah, I would
beautifully filmed too. Like it's rare to see gore look so gorgeous. It's like that scene, like the lighting and everything is just so mesmerizing and beautiful. And they know what they're doing. They know how to make it beautiful but also scary. But when there's a big emotional moment, something this movie does that they didn't do in Kills is they'll slow it down a little bit. And it really kind of almost pauses that emotional moment and gives you just a chance. It's almost like it's like almost takes like feels like, sounds so sappy, but it feels like they're taking a pause button to like hug their own characters, because like their characters are in a lot of pain. And I think it was really effective.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I agree.
All right. Also, I feel like one of the things I didn't care, well, I'm not gonna say that. One of the things I feel like was more effective with the original that we kind of lost with the sequels is there really isn't that much gore. It's all about that suspense. And it's kind of sad because then Friday the 13th saw Halloween and they're like, okay, we're going to do that, but we're going to be like Hammer to Universal. And we're going to just show you all the gore. And then Halloween came back with Halloween 2. And instead of doing what they did well, they're like, well, we're going to copy that. And I was just a little sad, but I feel like this movie was a perfect blend of the suspense and the good gore. Like I feel like we didn't lose suspense for gore.
I agree with that.
A ton of tension in that third act, you know, when Mike, as soon as that cop car shows up to the house and Ray goes out to go, hey, did you find Allison? It was, man, I mean, I'm sitting there curling my toes. I'm like, shit. You know, when she's searching the house and
that was such a fantastic scene with all the mannequins and you know, these dark shadows. And again, Jamie Lee, I mean, look, we don't expect anything less, but she was so great in those scenes because her heart was beating fast, as so was mine, and still is when I watch it, because she's literally right there with the shape, and she knows how big the stakes are. And it's not just her life this time; it's her daughters and her granddaughters. So it's like, wow, we're just
even higher.
We're literally doing all these things without necessarily spoon feeding it to you. Like all these things are just coming at you, and you need to just absorb it as a viewer. And again, I think that's just a sign of some really good filmmaking. I mean, I know I've said that before, but I really think that they did such a good job with those things. They really did.
And T. Parker makes a good point how Michael and Laurie switch roles. The prey becomes the predator. One scene that comes to mind is when she's like, "Happy Halloween, Michael," and she's the one that comes out of the darkness, which
Yeah,
is when the
her
tables are, like,
face
kind of turned.
illuminates like in
Yes.
Yeah,
'78 when
I
his did
loved
in the
that.
hallway.
like the
Mhm.
tables have really turned.
The
And when
way
she
I
falls off the balcony and then like she disappears,
Yeah.
just like
And he
Michael.
looks-
It's great. It's
And it-
so good. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he didn't say anything, but it's almost like I could hear a voice in my head saying, "What the fuck, man?"
Yeah.
I feel like when that face he makes, I feel like he's like, "Oh no, you didn't. I
Right.
made that move."
Mhm.
right.
Right.
Don't be biting my moves.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
But it was so
for-
cool.
Yeah, and for me it was
really cool.
it's
Yeah.
like I don't know if you guys I love watching like animal videos on YouTube, but like have you ever seen like when killer whales hunt sharks or like jaguars hunt crocodiles? Like that's what it felt like to me, you know. It was like they're both predator in this movie, like they're both predators because Lori makes no bones about it. Like once
Yeah.
he's out, she's on the hunt for him,
Mhm.
and he's
Yeah.
just on the hunt for anybody that gets in
Right.
his path, essentially. And so when
Right.
she's searching through that house and she, you know, she
Mhm.
gets to the closet and we get another, you know, 78 nod with her, you know, just those fold-in
The-
closet doors, you know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yes.
And it's like, man, this is like watching, like, you know, watching those. I immediately thought of that, was like, this is like watching a jaguar hunt a crocodile. And those are crazy ass videos if you've never seen them. I
Even how
recommend
they
them.
make the comment that the basement's a cage, and they're like, "No, it's a trap."
Mhm.
You know
Right.
how
Yeah.
they completely turned it on Michael.
Yeah, and when he's down
Admiral
there
Akbar.
and the grates are closed and he's looking up, I was just like, I'm just interested in his thoughts. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You know, he just kind of looks up at her, and he just stands there. There's
Mhm.
He looks
freaking
like a kid
fire
who's
behind
told-
him.
He
Yep.
looks like a kid who's been told he can't go play outside because it's raining.
Yes,
That's what mine is.
Yeah.
yes. He's like, oh man, I gotta
Accepting
stay in."
defeat. Yeah.
Yep.
Right. This
Yeah.
is fantastic stuff. Like I said, he's a very interesting character.
Mhm.
And he has been for a long time, and I'm just so happy that these movies have reignited that. It just goes to show that you can do that even after a long time or a gap, or you know,
Yeah.
even though you've known a character for 40 years, you can still peel back some layers of the onion. And that's why I'm so happy that these movies have been a joy for me.
Also, have you guys watched the deleted scenes on the Blu-ray at all? And do you agree with them being left out or not? Because there's actually a few of them. When I first watched this movie, I really fucking hated Cameron. I was like, "You're a dick."
Me too.
And then
Right.
there's that scene where he's like, "I got your phone out of the cheese, put it in some rice," and you kind of get the impression that he's just kind of a dick when he drinks, and he recognizes that. And
Mm.
in the deleted scene, I'm like, "Okay, you're not that big. I mean, you're a dick, but you're not.
Yeah.
I will let you be in Kills now. I will be okay with
Yeah.
you being in Kills now."
Right. Right.
What
Yeah,
do you
he
think about
redeems
the deleted
himself
scene?
in Kills.
Yeah, he
really
absolutely
does.
redeems
Mhm.
himself in Kills.
Yeah.
But some of those deleted scenes, also, like, I thought it was kind of weird that she was walking home with Oscar, but that one kind of explains because Cameron gets arrested, and he
Right.
tells Oscar to go walk her home, and so that made
Mhm.
a little bit more sense.
Yeah,
Who was
a little bit.
who was the cop that playing the cop in that scene where Cameron gets arrested? Wasn't there like a kind of big name celebrity? I'm
I
drawing a
don't
blank
remember.
right now.
I
But
can't
It's been
yeah,
a
remember.
minute since I've seen those deleted
I know.
scenes.
Same here. I'm trying
Yeah.
to rack my brain, but I remember it was like somebody like a big name celebrity. I was like, oh shit,
Mm.
that's
I'll have to go
Interesting.
check. I
Yeah,
don't
that'd be
remember.
interesting. But I will say that those deleted scenes, even though like they did make Cameron, you know, you side with him more, but I actually like the way that we didn't have that, because with Cameron
Mhm.
as well as Karen, and I love Judy Greer, but I wasn't a big Karen fan per se. You know, obviously at the
Nobody
end,
is.
Same here.
you know, obviously at the
Nobody-
end, she took the shot and she was drinking the Kool-Aid again, and that was fine.
Right.
But here's the thing, and I know we're not talking about Kills, but I'm just gonna say it. But I think that's what's so cool about Kills is that I became a Cameron fan and I became a huge Karen fan. And
I
and 2018 set that up by
Mhm.
them being
When a
kind of
movie can
unlikable.
make you change the way you feel about characters that you already know. One I've always given as an example for that was Paranormal Activity 2, because Mika is such a douche. And then you watch the second one, you're like, oh, he's got little man syndrome. Oh, baby.
Right.
you know, and like this one, like you kind of do that with like Cameron too. Like, okay, yeah, he's a dumb kid. He makes stupid mistakes, but
Right.
he's got heart when he needs
Yeah.
it. You know,
Yes.
Right.
he's
Yeah.
a good person.
But I'm glad we didn't see that until Kills. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because like
Yes.
I like
Mhm.
that you left off like, oh, this guy's a jackass. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then it's like,
Yes.
okay, redemption arc starts immediately with Kills
Mhm.
when he's
Right.
reintroduced. I
Right.
think that like that makes me happy that they deleted those scenes overall. I think it
Me
works
too.
much
I
better.
think it's the
Yeah.
best move, but it is
Me
nice
too.
to see them on the Blu-ray and be like, all right,
Yeah.
It's
you're
still
all
cool,
right,
you know.
kid.
It's cool to see the
Right.
process through
That's
the
right.
deleted scenes.
And again, we're talking about redemption for characters in a Halloween movie. I mean,
Right.
again, this
That's
is
true.
like this is lingo that you don't use a lot in the franchise, and I think again, it just speaks to the strength of these movies. I
Mhm.
really do.
I got a question. So going back to Karen, right? Because talking about the likability and unlikability, and I know that's how they wrote her. It's not Judy
Mhm.
Greer as a person, but
Right.
She's
I
not
f-
bad. She's just drowned this way.
right. I felt like there was an opportunity if they wanted to, they could have recast Danielle Harris as Jamie. Oh, did I take your thunder? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I just
Okay.
you're
Well,
getting the passion is rising.
right when the podcasters go to talk to her and they talk about the two failed marriages and the state came and took your daughter and your strained relationship with your daughter and granddaughter, I was like, man, this would have been the perfect opportunity for that daughter when it's revealed to be Jamie Lloyd or Jamie, Jamie Strode, or maybe she remarried and became Jamie Lloyd, whatever it is. And they didn't have to, acknowledge, because they brought back so many Easter eggs from all the sequels they erased. Like, I
Mhm.
was like, oh my God, that would have been, for me, it would have been cool because I love Halloween 4, and I know a
I
lot of
love
people
her
do.
too. And actually, that was also supposed to be part of H2O. There was a whole thing where she basically gave up her first kid. And then
Mhm.
with
Right.
John, she decided she was going to move away and try to raise him. But they're like, we're not going to count those movies. So we're not doing that. And Danielle Harris actually did contact the people making this movie and really put in a pitch for wanting to be a part of it. And they're like, no, we're just not going to do that.
Mhm.
But I think because they have so many homages to the entire franchise, even Season of the Witch has nothing to do with Michael
Right.
Myers.
Mhm.
That I think that there is a way that they could bring her in and make it seem almost like it was part of their creation. So here's my thought. I think, because I love me some Jamie Lloyd, I think also, I mean, in my husband's family, they have a big family reunion every year, and they recently discovered they had another sister who was adopted out. So I
Okay.
think at Karen's funeral, it would be cool to have Danielle Harris show up, and she's there for her sister that she never got a chance to meet. That they're kind of bringing their family together, and you find out that she was adopted out. I would love that. I
Me
I
too.
doubt they would do it, but I would love
Right.
it.
It's kind
Mhm.
of interesting how they've homaged so many things, and to me, especially when I was growing up, and obviously I love Jamie Lee Curtis, there's no doubt about that. But Danielle Harris was a big part of my
Yep.
connection to Halloween
Me too.
growing
'Cause we
up.
were kids when we
Mhm.
We were
watched it. So
kids,
she was
right?
our connection. To
Yes,
me, Lori was a lot older than me, so I
that's
didn't
right.
really connect to them and her
Yeah.
friends like and the things they wanted. But when I first saw Halloween, I was a lot younger and I wasn't that invested in it
Mhm.
until I saw 4, and I'm like, okay, she was about my age, so I
Right.
instantly connected to her, and that was
Yeah.
kind of my way in with
Yeah.
Halloween was through
Yeah.
Jamie Lloyd.
And I
Mhm.
mean, she carried. I mean, as a child actor, and we all know this, a child actor. I mean, the movie could be made or broken on their shoulders, and I think she did a hell of a job in 4. They kind of nerfed her a little bit in the first half of 5, but she was still awesome. And I thought she was, especially in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, I thought she was fantastic. Her and Brad Dourif were fantastic.
Yep.
So it's just like it was just kind of odd that they couldn't just have that moment or something. Because to me, other than Jamie Lee Curtis, Danielle Harris is a huge aspect of Halloween,
Yep.
the franchise, the lore.
Mhm.
And it just really, as a fan, it just boggles my mind, you know.
Yeah.
It is odd that she has like no involvement with these new movies. I have always thought that was kind of strange, like that she wouldn't play just some character, have a cameo, something. But no, like I don't understand that personally. They're
Even
bringing
Rob
back all these
Zombie
other characters.
put her as a different character, but I do
Right.
feel like her involvement is missing. I really want to see her involved. I was also I feel the same way as T Parker in the chat. Oh, I would have loved to see Paul Rudd be Tommy Doyle in Kills. I know we're not talking about that movie, but
Right.
it would have been wonderful.
It would have been better.
would've been.
Like
I think so too.
Yes.
hot
So
take,
weird and
but
awkward and 6, and I love it so much.
Yeah.
Also, fun fact, because I think of 6, I think of Paul Rudd, I think of babies, which brings me back to this one. Did you know the baby sound in this movie was done by Jamie Lee Curtis?
Yes, I did know that.
She does a perfect baby, and she
Doesn't
actually makes
she?
a baby noise. Yeah, you gotta
That's
look it up
crazy.
on a talk show where she does it, but she
Yep.
does like this, and she does
Yep.
it perfect. You gotta, I don't know, YouTube that shit.
Yeah.
First time
Yeah.
hearing of it. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Amazing,
know.
yes.
she's
She
rumored
is
to
a
voice
multi-talented.
Pazuzu in the new Exorcist movies. Did you hear about that?
She's amazing at voice work. Also,
Yeah.
another Jamie Lee Curtis fun fact. If you follow her on Instagram, she's gone to at least a couple cons now dressed up with a mask, like as an anime character, and nobody knew she was there.
Nice.
Oh, that's cool.
What? No way.
I love it.
She's
I
just
love
being
it.
Jamie. She's
I love
amazing.
it.
So I was
earned
at
it.
Emerald City Comic Con this last week, and I'm like, Jamie Lee Curtis, you here?
You're just unmasking
Jamie Lee
everybody.
Curtis. Yeah, right.
I'm gonna go full Loomis.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
Take my center on. You want him?
Yeah.
You want the boy?
I love
God,
that.
I miss Loomis.
You
That's
think if you
awesome.
kill him, they'll all go away?
Yeah.
It
Oh,
won't.
that was so good. So, you guys have been so awesome, like talking to me and stuff.
Yes.
I'm gonna wrap it up here in a little bit. I do want to talk about before we go the legacy of this film, and also just want to anything you guys want to bring up that we haven't talked about. I mean, we've been pretty extensive, but there's probably some stuff that you wanted to talk about, or maybe there's not. Or if in the chat you have questions, now's the time to get those questions in.
Yes.
Tell us.
So part of the legacy I think that was really cool about this movie is it is so rare when a movie is number one at the box office, when a movie does this well, that it has an older woman as the main protagonist. I thought that was cool.
Mhm.
It has 3 generations of women in it, and they are badass and they're complicated and they're great characters. Each one of them has a lot to do in this movie. So I think that is really cool.
Yeah.
As part of this movie's legacy. For me, this movie is in my top 3 for sure. It's right behind 78. Where is it for you guys?
Oh, it's up there for me too. I think when I did my ranking for it, I believe it was number 2. It was either 2 or 3, but I think I had it as number 2, and the same was pretty much for Coriander and Killian, because we really appreciated what this movie was able to achieve. It's not a small feat. It
No.
really isn't.
No.
You know.
It's second favorite for me too. I have a really good experience with this film too. It was the first Halloween movie I saw in the theaters. You know, I'm young, but I had the best Halloween, like the best experience in a theater with this movie ever. Like people were going nuts during that third act, and when those bars came and he's trapped downstairs, the entire theater stood up and like started clapping and going nuts. And like some people make fun of people who like do that at the theaters, and I don't understand that. That is the most exciting, awesome thing, just to have in a room full of people all super excited about something like that. I don't know, that it was the coolest experience ever. This movie means so much to me. I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
It's I think it's second behind Resurrection for me. I'm just messing around. No,
I immediately laughed.
I know Jake
Resurrection is their favorite, and I've hunted these people down, and they will be on the Resurrection stream because
oh, good.
The wonderful thing about this whole franchise is every single one of these movies, and I've talked to a lot of my friends, and I've asked them, I asked you guys, which ones are your favorites?
Yeah.
There are people where Resurrection's their favorite, and we're gonna talk.
It's true.
Yeah.
And that list is getting bigger over the years, so it's true.
Yeah.
It had moments. It had some moments.
I
so
think
far it's gonna be me and Jay from Bloodbath TV. So I think we're gonna do what Jay and I always do when we hang out and drink a lot.
There you go. Nice. I think it's in my top 5. I would say it's probably around 3 or 4. I have a different, like, as far as like my favorites, it would probably be around 4 or 5. As far as what I think, like as far as a quality film, I think it's probably 3 for me. So like my favorites, my top 3 is 78, H3, and H6. Those are my favorites. My
I
top
love
3.
Season of the Witch.
So yeah, if
Yeah,
like I said,
yeah.
if you need someone for, because a lot of people hate
Actually, I
Curse
still
of
have an
Michael
opening on
Myers.
that stream if you want to join.
Yeah,
Producer's
I'll
cut is
do
great.
H3
Producer's
and
yeah.
I'll do H6 because H6 is I love that movie so much. It's
That's my friend Movie Massacre's favorite in the franchise.
it's
Every
the
one of these
only
movies, guys, is someone's favorite. Everyone.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
the only movie I'll give the pass for trying to explain Michael to. You're
Mhm.
trying to explain Michael. Like I
Right.
don't know why. I think it's just where I was when I was a kid, and it was like the scariest Halloween film I had ever seen at that time, and like it's got a special place in my heart. So I love 6 so much.
That was the first one I got on my own because I was old enough to go to Blockbuster, and that was one that had just come out.
Mhm.
Oh,
So I was
nice.
like,
Mm.
it was kind of like one of those, this isn't mom's Halloween. You know, like I got my
Right.
own Halloween now because my mom introduced me to 78 and I was like too young and I had seen too much Friday the 13th. So I was just like, seems like a lot of acting and not a lot of killing is what I'm doing. I was just a kid. So yeah,
That's
Halloween
hilarious.
6, I had a lot of fun with that one.
Oh, I
But
love that movie.
definitely, you know, they're all special to me.
Mhm.
Nice.
The little Halloween family, you know.
That's right.
Where's it ranked for
yeah.
you, Gory?
For me, I would put this at 2.
Number 2.
I mean, the top 4 kind of move around a bit, but it's
Right, they're
definitely like
interchangeable.
in
Mhm.
the top 5. You know, sometimes it
Mhm.
moves down to 3, but definitely 2.
Mhm.
3 is
Mhm.
also really high up there for me, and I have a really unpopular opinion that you guys are gonna hate, but that's next week. Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I love that one.
All
I know
right.
everybody
Alright.
hates it, but I love it.
All
Heck
right.
yeah.
Nice.
And I used to hate it too. So, you know, that's the thing with these movies. Even if, you know, we might be talking about one that's not your favorite, and maybe we've
Mhm.
said some things here that made you look at it in a different light. Because I think, you know, nobody ever sets out to make a bad movie, and I
Right.
think all of these movies, even if you don't think it's one of the best, I think all of them have resonated with people. Which I
Absolutely.
think is really cool. But for me, this one definitely made an impact and got an emotional response for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was a home
Absolutely.
run.
It was.
Like I love this movie. It was so good.
Awesome. Do you guys think this one lives up to the original? That's one of the quotes from Jamie Lee Curtis I thought was really interesting. Is she says this film lives up to the original. What do you guys think of that?
It does.
I think
It
it
does.
Yeah.
I think it definitely does.
Yeah.
No doubt. No doubt.
hmm I think this one made the original proud, if that's possible. I think
Yep.
the original would look at it and be like, "I'm that."
That's a
job.
great way to put it, because like I don't think you're ever going to have a movie in this franchise that tops the original, but like
Mhm.
this is an excellent movie. This is just a
Yes.
really well done love letter to the franchise
Yes.
and to that original movie. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. I love the way you worded that.
Yeah, I do too.
Thanks.
Very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Thanks, buddy.
We're back to the Full House opening.
Right.
Corey and friends.
Yeah.
Good times. I feel like Mav's gonna be the one on the skateboard.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Good
Absolutely.
times. Awesome. So we're not going to go like super in depth, but I do feel like with this trilogy, you can't really talk about it without talking about Ends a little bit, because I think it does instill some hopes for the next ones. And Ends is coming up. What do you guys want to see in Ends?
I want them to stick the landing.
I just want
for-
it to be good.
I do. I want
Fingers
them to
crossed.
stick the landing. So when I look at this trilogy, I can really see from A to Z that the promises were fulfilled, because 2018 was so strong, you
Mhm.
know. And I think if Ends is good, I think that also will strengthen Kills.
I
Yeah.
agree.
So there's a lot riding. I hate to say it like that, because you know, well, there's pressure on every movie, but I think there's a lot of pressure on Ends, you know, from the fan base, you know, to strengthen Kills and to kind of wrap up this moment in the franchise for all of these filmmakers in front of and behind the camera. So I just want them to stick the landing.
Mhm.
With how well done 2018 is, I just want this to be something that feels like the original again, and like you can look at all 4 of these movies in this timeline and just be like, oh, it like kind of, it's like this little build, you know, about how things get complicated, and then end it on a more simple note. Build the tension a little more, show Michael stalking, coming back to town, and then have an epic conclusion.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I do respect that with this franchise, which is something that my favorite franchise does. I feel like they didn't play it safe with kills. They could have just done the exact same thing again, and they didn't. They wanted to do something different. And I know that's the plan for Ends, and I'm excited to see what they do. I just hope, like Knight said, that it all kind of goes together, because I think it's really cool how, like we said, with the connections to from kills to 2018, you can watch them back to back, and it's almost like one long movie, kind of like how you can do with 78 in part 2. So I really want Ends to be a part of that. I want to be able to marathon these 3 back to back and have it be satisfying.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think for me, less is more in some instances, right? So going back to the, potentially explaining something or getting a little too heady for the audience, as far as like, we're here for a Halloween movie. Like, it doesn't have to be super crazy, or he was gone for 4 years because of this, or he's going after Lori because of that. And like Knight said, stick the landing. The other thing I want them to do is, I want them to, I said it in Jake's live stream the other day, and Jake said it right before I did, which was have a set of balls. You know what I mean? Make a decision. Don't do the ambiguous, like, I don't want them to both die or both live. I want to see one or the other die more than anything. I really just, that's what I want. I don't want to see the Shape die. I'm not gonna lie. But if it happens,
Well,
and they
die.
die.
Right.
But like, I don't want, like in Resurrection, where the eyes open, you see the burnt corpse and the eyes open at the very, like, don't do that. Like,
right. That was so cheap.
Have a pair, make a decision, and stand by the decision. And then I've heard recently, because they announced the whole Peacock, it's going to be streaming simultaneously with Peacock, that potentially we get one ending in the movies and one ending on streaming. I don't know if you guys did streams on that. I won't like that. That will make me,
I won't like
and
that either.
And it makes no real sense to me. I was talking about that with Destination Station last night, and I was like, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
That doesn't intrigue you at all, though, if they do something along those lines, like do the Clue thing.
I don't.
No.
Well, yeah, but the only thing is
as an
that
artist,
Clue
you
was
should know how
made
your
for
story
that.
should end. And if you're doing Clue, you're being gimmicky and you're not telling a story.
You got a fair point. I think like, at least what interests me about it, and once again, it all comes down to execution. If it sucks, it sucks. But what's interesting about it to me is this isn't the first time in the franchise where we've had 2 different cuts of something. So like, if they were to go along those lines and like just go for it and like just have an ending where Laurie dies and Michael lives and vice versa, it's intriguing to me. And if it's done well, I'd be like, this could be something really cool. But I also don't want to pay for Peacock if I don't have to.
Right.
There's also that.
For $4.99, you get the
And all the
Chucky
buffering.
series, you get Black Phone, you get They Them, you get a lot of new horror releases, a lot of things good, and you get WWE if you're into wrestling. So for me, it's well worth the $4.99.
Yeah.
My boy over here in the Roddy Piper shirt knows what I'm talking about. So.
Well, I get Peacock for free, because I complained about my internet speeds one day, and they're like, "You want this box?" And I was like, "What's the catch?" And they're like, "Nothing. It's free." And so I get it for free now. So
That's awesome.
I've had it for free for
Peacock's
like over
awesome though.
since
Definitely
it
check
started.
out.
Yeah,
I have Peacock, Shudder, Netflix. That's what I have.
Yeah,
Probably not the normal group.
You know what? I was gonna say, I was thinking when Jake said there's been a alternate cut for every movie. I wonder if the alternate cuts that didn't make it to screen make for a different movie. Like if you watched all 3 together, with the ends, because with the reshoots, right? And there's the 2018. That would be kind of cool. That would be a cool idea.
It would.
It
would
is
be
like
very
you
cool.
can watch it and then you see. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're fine.
That's pretty much it. I think that would be interesting to see, like, to watch the 3 movies, but with the cut endings and see what you like. It's like with Halloween 6, the theatrical cut and the producer's cut, and there's a lot of overlap, but there's different directions that both movies go,
right,
for better and for worse. In some instances, so it'd be interesting.
I think all I want. I feel like with Michael and Jason and them, like, they're never really dead. They always find a way to bring them back because there's something supernatural about them. All I want is that I want the protagonist to think he's dead. And I don't want it rubbed in my face that he's still alive. I don't want him to sit up. I don't want him to look at the camera. If you want to do the breathing thing, that's fine. But I want at least our protagonist to think that he's dead, so that that story is over. I know when Jamie Lee was leaving her last day of set, there was a sign that said "Now leaving Haddonfield," and I firmly believe that's going to be the last shot in the movie. I honestly think Laurie's going to die too, and I think it's finally going to push Allison to get the fuck out of Haddonfield and live her life, and not let Michael take over her life like it took over her grandmother's. Because I think in this next movie, after losing her mom, her boyfriend, her friends, her dad, I think she's going to be really obsessed with vengeance, and Laurie's going to be the one who has to kind of go and save her.
They're going to reverse roles.
Yeah, I think she's finally going to leave Haddonfield, and I think that would be a nice ending.
Yeah,
agreed.
All right, you guys have been awesome. So cool talking to you guys about Halloween. Do tell everybody where they can find you guys and what you guys are doing. I know a couple of these guys are going to be coming back for some more Halloween, because I'm going to be doing Halloween every single week until Halloween. Mostly on Fridays. The whole schedule will be during the credits. And then it's going to culminate with the original 78 on Halloween night. I know Night will be with me for that one. And then the week after, we're going to do Halloween Ends. So that's 13 weeks of Halloween, because we just don't mess around here.
We don't. We go all the way.
Where are you guys going? And where can they find you? Their links, by the way, are in the description.
Yeah, so despite what my my name says over here, it's actually it's Maverick Media. Yeah, I can change it. I'm 2 subscribers away from 400, so I would like to.
Nice.
Yeah, man, crazy! It's so crazy. I'm surprised I have 4. Sometimes I look at it and I'm like, holy crap,
okay,
that's
we need
crazy.
to fix that right now.
What, my name? You want me to fix it?
Your subscribers.
Oh, yeah. Well, it'll grow in time.
I'm less than 1,000 away from 4,000 hours watch time, which is
awesome.
Heck
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, Maverick Media. I'm on Twitter. It's the same as my channel on Instagram. Same. 2 more. I think the last.
Let's get you 2 more.
Yeah, if I could get 2 more, that'd be fantastic. But yeah, I do. I've done a few movie reviews. I love theory videos. Those are my favorite to do. I've done a few live streams. So, yeah, if you want an interesting take or sometimes maybe a stupid take, come check my channel out. You might like it. So.
All right, your link is in the chat, guys.
Awesome.
Check him out. I'm gonna get the other guys in there too.
Well, man, if you like stupid takes, you will absolutely love Killjoy Jake. Yeah. Subscribe, check it out. That's it. That's all I got.
Yeah. Like he said.
Jake.
Yeah. If you want some fun and sometimes a little crazy, same thing. Check out the Night Watch Zone. And
these guys are being really, really modest. They have terrific channels. Mav is doing lots of awesome stuff, lots of cool live streams. Killjoy Jake, very energetic, fun, awesome live streams. He also has another non-horror channel, the smoothie one. It's good.
I just drink smoothies. That's it. That's the whole show.
The live stream, drinking smoothie
right on the live stream.
And Night, I mean, just he's got that velvety voice, guys, and he's talking about all the horror. He just did an Argento the other day, so he's going deep dives into these things.
I don't know if it's not showing up. I hit 400.
Thank you.
Yay, I'm so happy.
Let's go.
Oh my God,
That's
love it.
awesome. But these guys are incredible. Their links are in the description. Also, you'll find Night and Killjoy Jake on the Lethal Collective with 2 of my other friends, Fate Decided and Craven Something Scary. Really just great group of guys here. And I'm so happy that you guys joined me. I had so much fun with you guys. You guys are awesome.
Yeah.
Thank for having me.
Thank you for the invite. Yeah,
thank
you so much.
You guys got to hit us with those sweet outros, the sweet send-offs. You know what I'm talking about, Night.
I know. All right, I'll start off because you always do this. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace.
I love it.
Don't forget to kill it out there, folks. That's what I say every time. Exactly that. Peace out. You're like, no.
It's fine.
Welcome to Craven Something Scary, where it's all horror all the time. I don't
Nice.
have a catchphrase, guys. I unfortunately, but maybe
you
I'll
are the
come up with one.
catchphrase.
Yeah,
You
I
are
feel
the
like how
catchphrase.
Nancy says, screw your hall pass. I need you to go, screw your catchphrase and just sign off.
yeah. Or maybe I
Right.
could do the Tom Cruise from Jerry Maguire, where he's like, no, I wouldn't say it to you guys, but fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. Fuck you. I'm out. And then
I
just
love it.
sign
I
off.
love it. I love it.
Maybe that's
Yes.
gonna be my new one. I don't know. I'm a workshop that.
There you go.
Sounds good. Awesome. I'll see you guys after the credits. And for all of you wonderful weirdos in the gory hole, until we meet again, blessed be.